Hey folks, it's Matt once again. I know in a lot of these videos I normally have some weird camera angles because I'm trying to find the right one. Sometimes a little bit too low here, sometimes a little bit too low over here, but it's a work in progress. Also, I like the background. Under Siege 2, Dark Territory. Good sequel. LA Times, Peter Rayner. Die Hard on a Train, lively show, some amazing stuff. Directed by Geoff Murphy, who did The Quiet Earth, he did Free Jack. I think he also did Young Guns too. A little bit surprised they got a guy like that to direct a big-budget sequel to a very popular movie. I'm thinking, Geoff Murphy, like, did they really like Young Guns too? Because Free Jack, I liked Free Jack, but that was a big bomb. That was a big box office flop. And that might have been the last film he did before this, so I guess they didn't care that was a flop. They said, okay, yeah. I just found it kind of strange that he got Geoff Murphy. He does fine on the directing job. I mean, the plot tells you right here. A top secret nuclear satellite. Satellite that sort of, in a way, makes earthquakes and demolishes shit. A team of international terrorists led by Eric Bogosian, who was on was it Talk Radio, I believe was the film he did, which I still haven't seen. And also Everett McGill, who was the bad guy in The People Under the Stairs, among other films. Also Patrick Kilpatrick is one of the bad guys. And some other recognizable faces. A government held hostage. An undetectable moving headquarters, which is this train. Only one hero stands in the way. The cook from Under Siege is back. And he's going into dark territory. Dark territory is pretty much, I think, the moments where a train, something about it can't be detected, or you can't really phone anywhere. It's something about a part where the train passes by that I'd have to look at what the fuck dark territory means actually, but I know there's a reason why it's called dark territory. This is a pretty good sequel because the action scenes are well done, the fight scenes are fun for what they have to be. The bad guys, they're not as memorable as Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey, but Eric Bogosian I thought was a very interesting choice, and he gives a pretty campy performance. Almost as something out of the Batman TV show at times, but very campy, just quirky performance. And Everett McGill, I like Everett McGill when he gets maced, and I don't, but it's like pepper spray, and it doesn't affect him, and he takes it away. It's like, when you get used to it, just clears the sinuses. And I actually really like Everett McGill. I thought he did a really good job. You also have Katherine Heigl, who would go on to, what's the movie people remember the most? You can let me know. Katherine Heigl is definitely a name you have heard of before. Morris Chestnut, who had also worked with Steven Seagal as the villain in fuck, I'm going brain dead. Half Past Dead. No wonder I'm going brain dead, because I'm trying to think of that fucking movie, which I'll get to that when I'm ranting on that piece of shit. Here you go. The title, Dark Territory, refers to the railroading term that the subject train was traveling through. It's a section of railroad track that has no train signals, and in which communications between train dispatchers and the railroad engineers were impossible, and on which the train is on a collision course with another train. So there you go. That's Dark Territory. And Katherine Heigl, I guess what people remember for the most, she plays Casey Ryback's niece, because this whole point is Casey Ryback, his brother has died, he's going to see his grave, and decides to take the niece along, his brother's daughter. She's a bit mad at him, so there's a little bit of friction, but that goes away pretty fast and pretty quickly, pretty easily to be to be honest. Is that all of a sudden it's kind of just dropped. But she was in Bride of Chucky, Valentine. Knocked Up is probably the film people remember the most. Knocked Up, 27 Dresses, The Ugly Truth, New Year's Eve, The Nut Job 1 and 2. But yeah, Knocked Up is probably the film that is her most famous film. I don't care for Knocked Up. That's why I can remember the title. She does alright as Casey Ryback's niece. She's there. She does what she has to do. Morris Chestnut, he's fun as the bad boy, the bad guy, the porter, as they call it. And he has some fun lines, and he has a bit of energy to him. He's a fun sidekick. Granted, it's not Erica Laniak because she has two scrumptious tits from Under Siege 1, but they need a new sidekick, so you have Morris Chestnut. He's fun. The score is really good. The score is by Basil Polidoris, who did the score for RoboCop. I'm like, oh shit, Basil Polidoris did the score for this, and it's a pretty damn good score. I would say an underrated score, because no one really talks about the music in this, but it's pretty damn good. And the fact it takes place on a train is a cool idea. I was surprised it wasn't... I mean, there's been movies about trains before, like Runaway Train, but the fact of terrorists on a train, I'm surprised that wasn't done on a big budget level before this. And it worked well. What was that other movie with Pierce Brosnan? Detonator was kind of trying to do that, but I didn't really care for Detonator. There's one called Hostage Train. Look it up. Hostage Train trailer. It's with fucking Judge Reinhold. Beverly Hills Cop guy himself, Judge Reinhold, as the hero and the badass hero cop. Yeah, Hostage Train. It's pretty damn funny, actually. I think it's on YouTube. At least the trailer is. As pretty much him trying to do an Under Siege 2 type of flick. On a low budget. I mean, the film itself, the top secret military satellite is a particle weapon designed to destroy underground targets and sort of create earthquakes. And it can, even from space, it can target and it can even look very closely to the point it looks at a woman's tits on a beach. And they try it out. Like I said, Seagal and his niece are on the train going to see his brother's grave. Morris Chestnut is the porter. At one point, Katherine Heigl teaches the porter a little move that flips him over, and he does that later in the film. Gets to set that up. And again, Morris Chestnut, that's why I was disappointed with his performance in Half Past Dead, because I know he's playing the villain, but you could play a fun villain. He was very boring, very monotone, and very wooden in Half Past Dead, while here he has a lot of energy. And he was a lot of fun. But yeah, the baddies, they take over the train, and Seagal punches one guy in the face, some blood splat, kicks him in the balls, and chops him in the neck, tosses his ass out. But he escapes, and the rest of the fucking kitchen, the people in there get shot up. So it's like, good job, Casey. Good job on saving them. But I mean, in seriousness, there's nothing he can do because he didn't have any guns or such, and he's not bulletproof. Although I'm sure Seagal thinks he's bulletproof in real life, but he's not. But they utilize the train very well. You know, Casey Ryback's on top of the train. The baddies are doing some fucked up shit. They fuck up a chemical plant in China. To get the government to sort of pay attention to them and realize they're serious and they want $1 billion. And even this one quirky scene where apparently they got in touch with a guy who wants they want Eric Bogosian to blow up this plane and kill his ex-wife. And Eric Bogosian's like, I'm busy. I'm going to do this thing with the Pentagon. And then the other guy goes, well, he's going to pay you $100 million. As Eric Bogosian stops and he goes, does he have the codes? Like, where she's at? And then blows up a plane, so it creates an earthquake in midair. So there's certain quirky moments with the bad guys that makes it a bit fun. And it moves at a good pace. It's never boring. I would even say, although I like Under Siege 1 more because it's more memorable bad guys and just something about Under Siege 1 that's missing a little bit in the sequel. I can't tell what it is. It's not Air Delania's tits. It's something else. But you could argue that Under Siege 2 kind of moves a little bit at a faster pace than Under Siege 1. Because it did feel like this moved a little bit faster. And watch my review of Under Siege 1. I love Under Siege 1. I think it's in my top 5 Seagal films. But Under Siege 2 seemed like it moved a little bit faster. But yeah, just something a little bit missing that I don't put it above Under Siege 1. But it's a worthy sequel, and it got a lot of shit. It didn't do well at the box office. I think it made as much as it cost when it came out in the U.S. Maybe it made some money overseas, but it was definitely considered a box office disappointment because it made less money than the first one, and the first one cost less. So this cost more and made less money than the first one for its total. So it's either a flop or a disappointment, or both. But I don't think the film is that bad. It's just Seagal finding 50 ways to fuck up bad guys on a train. It's either slices a guy's wrist and takes the guy down. And I know Jack Craven mentioned this when he sent me some info. There's a little bit of moments where continuity is a little bit off track. When Everett McGill and him are fighting and they roll down the stairs and all of a sudden Everett McGill has this stain on his face. Or apparently there's a moment that Seagal put his face on a grill and it fucked his face up, but that was cut out. I guess the MPAA. Same thing here. There's like this guy who kind of has one eye and the other eye's fucked up, and I think he hit the guy in the neck with a knife and there was some blood there, but that was a bit cut out, which is too bad. And pretty much, yeah, the bad guys will take down the Pentagon, and Seagal shoots one guy through the neck. He kicks a guy off a train, and the guy gets run over by the train. He has shootouts on the outside of the train with machine guns. He gets shot, hides under the train. And it's always that moment I like in movies when the bad guys hear who the good guy is, and they're a bit scared. Ryback? Is Casey fucking Ryback? Oh no, he's the best there is. It is kind of nice sometimes when the hero scares the bad guy. That's one of the fun moments in Invasion USA. You tell Rostov, it's time to die. And how scared Rostov is. I don't know, this is just a fun thing I like in movies. Especially with an established action hero or an action star. Yeah, they know who they're messing with, and or when they fuck with him, and then it's like, oh, you don't get your comeuppance, kind of like in Rambo 4. Like they're fucking with, oh, he's just rowing the boat, and then they realize who the fuck they're with, and they're with John fucking Rambo. But again, that's a different story for a different day. Well, I reviewed Rambo 4, so it's up on this channel. But it moves at a good pace and has many moments of action and spectacle and firefights and little fisticuffs and Morris Chestnut. He's not annoying. He's not irritating as the sidekick character. Seagal makes a little bomb in the kitchen. That's where you get the scene where Katherine Heigl tries this pepper spray Everett McGill, and he has no effect once he gets used to it. Just clears the sinuses. He even just sprays it on his eyes himself. Everett McGill, I said this before, but I'm going to keep saying it. He's pretty fun as the bad guy. And then Seagal throws a bomb at some guys, and on the digital readout, it reads, "You're fucked." I didn't notice that before. And then they get blown up. Practical, real stuntmen on fire, not CGI at all. And Morris Chestnut steals a disc that the bad guys need. Seagal shoots a flare into a guy who catches on fire, and Seagal kicks him off the train. There's one guy, he takes both wrists, so the guy's like this, and then slams his ass down to the ground. I always liked that move. That's one of my favorite moves that Seagal does. When he does that, and just slams the guy right down to the ground. And then kicks him in the face. Seagal and this guy fall off the train. They're hanging on a cliff, and he fucking elbows the guy off. And this one guy jumps down after him, rappels down after him, and they don't shoot him yet because they're wondering where that disc is at. So Seagal jumps on the guy, punches the shit out of him, hits him in the face, so he falls down. Then another guy rappels. I think Seagal says to him, like, "You guys never learn, do you?" And shoots that guy's rope, and he falls down. And he's able to get back on track, but the train's left, and he gets in a car, drives to catch up on the train. And that's where you get this fun stunt sequence where he jumps off, and the car keeps going and flies off, explodes by the train, so Seagal can climb on those rocks there and jump onto the train. So really well done stunt sequences. The budget was handled very well. The action scenes, plentiful is the word I'm looking for. I would say this is an underrated Seagal film because some people trash Under Siege 2. I don't see why. This is a perfectly worthy sequel. In fact, if someone said they liked it more than Under Siege 1, I wouldn't blame them. I still put Under Siege 1 over this, but I could see why. If someone liked Under Siege 2 more than this, I can perfectly see why. It's a damn... Like, to me, it's sort of that far apart. It's not like this far apart. It's like this far apart, which I like more. Who knows? Maybe another day I'll switch it up. But as of my thoughts right now... And if you want just a fun action movie that's plentiful in its stuff, you got it. He saves the port and fucks up this guy, and Morris Chestnut, I love his line, "You're definitely a bad motherfucker. Let's go kick some more ass, huh?" And then smiles. Seagal throws a knife at a guy's neck, shoots some, gunshots 2 in the head, and the porter even gets one guy. Oh, of course, another moment by Morris Chestnut that I liked. Before Seagal gets back on the train and before the train starts going, the porter's off the train too, and the guy's ready to shoot him. And he's wondering where that disc is, boy. And, oh, what? It fell out of your pocket? And Morris Chestnut has a gun. And he says something to the effect of... What was it? I'm trying to remember the dialogue. It's... Like, the only I've got in my pocket, man, is your ass. And shoots the guy. And Morris Chestnut did better than me. I think that is the line. Anyway, you just see the film to see the line for yourself. I really did enjoy that line of dialogue. The only thing I've got in my pocket, man, is your ass. And it's just a very fun movie. I keep repeating myself, but it's a very fun flick. And they shoot up a lot of bad guys, and Seagal's kicking a lot of ass, shooting up a lot of guys, and the baddie blows up. Their good guys are trying to still send a stealth bomber in case they need to blow up the train, and the baddies blow up the train. I mean, the train. They blow up the train and be the end of the movie. They blow up the stealth bomber. Well, I remember when HBO was showing this film and advertising it, that's the scene they showed a lot where the stealth bomber gets blown up right next to the train. And they stole that shot for a shitty Jean-Claude Van Damme film called Derailed. Which that stupid action movie book that I ranted on said that Derailed is better than this movie. Yeah. What was that movie? The Good, the Bad, and the... Whatever the fucking action movie book that fucking ranting on. That doesn't have Die Hard films in it because Bruce Willis is not an action star. That book. Derailed is better than this movie, even though Derailed stole footage from this movie, and Derailed is a cheap piece of shit. Well, this is a big budget, fun, competently made flick. Okay. Probably the only person on earth I've seen that thought Derailed with Van Damme is better than Under Siege 2. But hey, you know, different strokes, different folks, I guess. Everett McGill's a badass. He even kills the Sandman. I mean, the Sandman from Death One should kill Powder. He's one of the bad guys, and he says, we should just leave, and you fucked up. And Everett McGill stabs him in the neck. And he goes, now, does anyone else think I fucked up? Eric Bogosian's like, no, no. A chopper for the bad guys is there, and Boris Chestnut goes up to commandeer it. Gets in a fight with a female bad guy, and he's able to do that move he learned from Casey Ryback's niece and throw the woman off the helicopter and holds the guy, the pilot, for when the good guys will ultimately get there. And Seagal gets him a little fight. Well, before that, he fights this one guy, he's elbowing the guy, and even they're on the ground, and he's like kicking his heels into the guy's back, and breaks the guy's arm and chokes the shit out of him. Then gets with Everett McGill and has a little fight with him. Of course, it's going to be one-sided. But I like the line when he cuts his coat and Everett McGill goes, fuck, you ruined my coat. And fight with Everett McGill. And of course, again, of course it's going to be one-sided. Of course, of course, of course. There's a Steven Seagal, and 99% of the time, he's not going to have people beat him up at all. Even the main bad guy, for back and forth. So it's a decent little fight with some little continuities missing, like I mentioned before, that Jack Craven told me about. I'm like, yeah, that's true. I noticed that. The ending is a bit laughable. That's one thing about the flick, because Eric Bogosian is going to fuck up the Pentagon, because there's stuff under the Pentagon that will fuck up and blow everything to hell. Seagal shoots this transmitter that's on Eric Bogosian, and he falls off the train. So even though he's on the train over here, on the ground, his niece is now on the helicopter with the porter. Seagal literally runs through the train as it's colliding, so he's outrunning a colliding train that's going through the train he's on. So he's on the train, this train's demolishing everything, and he's running faster than the train and jumps out and grabs the end of the ladder. I'm like, okay, it's a bit to chew on. It's a bit suspicious. I mean, I know these films are not realistic, but I'm like, okay, that's a bit to chew on. And then, I guess, Eric Bogosian fucking teleported to where he is, and now he's on Seagal's legs on the ladder, and the ending becomes a bit of a clusterfuck, because then he gets Eric Bogosian off, who gets enveloped in fire, and then it cuts to the helicopter going this way, and there's a bunch of explosions, and then all of a sudden it goes on the plane, the chopper, and more explosions. It just seemed like a little bit of clusterfuck there. Also, it was funny, when you watch it again, notice this. When the train is coming after the train that Seagal's on, these two bad guys, including Jonathan Banks, who's been in a lot of movies, like 48 Hours, they're just standing there watching this train coming at them. And Jonathan Banks looks like he's smiling, like, and I'm going, why are they just sitting there? You see a train coming at you, why don't you get the fuck off or jump off? You're just staring there like, you can't see a train coming at you from afar? What, you think it's going to jump over you? Why wouldn't you take the risk and jump off? So I thought that was kind of funny. But the ending's a little bit of clusterfuck. But then Seagal's at the grave of his brother with his niece, and everything's okay, and then the movie ends. So other than Eric Bogosian, either I think his performances, you either deal with it and like it, or you don't like it. It's a bit campy, but I can have fun with it. Everett McGill I like. Moves at a good pace. Good score by Basil Polidoris. Morris Chestnut's a good sidekick. Seagal does fine in his acting, and a lot of fisticuffs, shootouts. They used to train very well. A lot of little action set pieces. The ending is a bit goofy and silly and clusterfuck. You're like, really? But I don't know. I don't know. It's a little bit much to, even for an over the top action movie. Like, okay, I guess I'll deal with that. And the villains are good. They just don't have the big, memorable personalities of Tommy Lee Jones and Gary Busey, but they're fine. And fun action film with a lot of spectacle and plentiful action sequences. If you like Die Hard ripoffs, the Die Hard on a genre, this is definitely one to watch. It's well done and it's a worthy sequel. I think it should have done better because it's not that bad of a movie. I wonder if this was released after. No. I wonder if On Daily Ground had not happened. And then if On Daily Ground was never made, and again, I don't mind the film, but I'm just saying if that film was never made, where it got a lot of ridicule, a lot of people going, what the fuck is this? And you just went from Under Siege 1 to this, I wonder if this would have gotten a bit more praise and more box office. I bet it would. I have a feeling it would. Like if this came out 92 was if this came out in 94, maybe it would have made more money. People, yeah, I like Under Siege. Let's go see that. And maybe On Daily Ground left a bitter taste, and people are like, I don't know. But they missed out. This is a good sequel, an underrated sequel. So I know the whole deal. John Peters was going to produce this, but then I guess Seagal was off somewhere, and when he came back, because Seagal had a lot of creative control, and he was told that Gary Busey was going to be the main bad guy, and they're like, well, wait a minute, Gary Busey died. What the fuck? Like, why would he be alive? He got blown up. And like, oh shit, okay, yeah. But Gary Busey had a deal that he would get paid no matter what. So that's about $750,000, either $650 or $750,000, and he didn't have to do one damn thing because the people behind the scenes were being really fucking stupid. So that's probably why the budget ballooned up as much as it did for stupidity like that. That's almost $1 million that you wasted on nothing. So that probably would have helped too. But either way, yeah, I like Under Siege 2. It's a damn good sequel. But anyway, next up would be a film I find to be pretty underrated, that I don't really get why it gets a lot of crap. I mean, I do a little bit, but I just disagree with it. And that's The Glimmer Man. Actually, one of my favorite Seagal films. I really enjoy this film. But I'll talk about that next time. So either way, thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye.